Hello and welcome to The Law of People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. This is a program that explains government policies and talks about political trends and, of course, bridges the gap between the government and the people. My name is Rachel David White, and today I'm being joined by Xavier Robert. Today we'll take a look at some reports that are trending here in Nigeria today. A quick one, let me welcome my co-host. Welcome, Xavier Robert.
Thanks, Rachel, and welcome viewers to the law, the people and governance. It's going to be a bright day today, especially with realities on ground from developments in the national scene, where the president sending in his additional 19 names.
List, okay. And then also away from that, we also saw the NLC meeting outcome for the APC, and as well the words of Mr. President last night to the union. I think it's something that is really triggering widespread reactions today. Absolutely.
We hope to see the very best come out from this new resolution that the NLC has reached with the president.
Okay, let's just get to the APC, of course, and find out what's happening. The National Executive Committees and EC of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has elected former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje as the party's new national chairman, while the decision was made at the 12th NEC meeting of the party held at the Congress Hall of Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. And Ganduje succeeds former national chairman Abdullahi Ademola, who was sacked by the party's National Working Committee in July, or I would say rather resigned. Well, the meeting was attended by President Bola Tinubu, Vice President Kashim Shettima, members of the Progressive Governors Forum and other party chieftains in the National Assembly. And in other NEC decisions, Senator Bashiru Ajibola was appointed as the new national secretary of the party, and Basiru was selected to replace Senator Iola Omishere, who also resigned from his position in mid-July. And in his address to the NEC, Tinubu emphasized that the APC had emerged victorious in the election, and it is now time to fulfill the promise of good governance to the Nigerian people, and also expressed his conviction that 2023 elections were the best, I'd like to pause and say best again, in the history of Nigeria. And of course, I
think notably they are absent at the NEC meeting where the ex-president Muhammadu Buhari and former vice president Yemi Osibanjo. However, the first national chairman of the party, BC Akonde, was present at the meeting. The NEC meeting gathering followed a meeting of the APC National Caucus
that was held yesterday.
Well, it's already generating talking point, the fact that the former vice president was absent and the former president was absent. I don't know why it's causing issues.
No, I think okay, whenever we talk about internal party crisis, it's a normal thing, but there's one thing about APC crisis when it rocks. Now, it shakes the ground, actually. Maybe it's because it is the ruling party.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's what was obtainable during PDP's reign. Whenever they have their internal scuffles like that, you get to see a lot of tempers flaring, and it becomes a national issue, and we're like, okay, why is it such a buzz? This is just a party, it's not the government, so why do we get all those rancors affecting even what's happening in the country?
Of course. Well, this doesn't mean that the former president, and of course his vice, have any plans to shift to another party anyway.
No,
well, looking at APC crisis, I think so far I'm seeing APC being able to at least come back and put their house in order, because appointing, of course, Ganduje, which was speculated before now, many had said that he would have been he was part of the ministerial nominees. And of course, reason why the president had delayed the list, according to speculations, were that Ganduje the names had to be reshuffled because Ganduje was being eyed to be the APC national chair, which we have seen come to play as well.
And then we've also seen him coming out to say that he's going to hit the ground running, borrowing the words of the president. So let's just hope that
he will definitely hit the ground running.
He does that as he has promised.
And well, you know, one thing about hitting the ground running, it has effect on people, because whenever we see someone or you know, a big wig come out to say he's going to hit the ground running, we see the effects like the president did actually. So you're running, and of course the stamps are on our shoulders.
I felt on by Nigerians.
Okay, let's quickly move away from that because of time, so we can also get our guest to join us as well. Well, 7 days after the submission of a list of 28 ministerial nominees to the Senate, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday submitted a fresh batch of 19 names. With the new names in, the total number of ministerial nominees has now come to 47, well, the highest since the return of the country to democracy in 1999, actually.
Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Gbajabiamila, submitted Tinubu's supplementary ministerial list to the Senate at about 3:18 p.m. during the extended screening of nominees in the Committee of the Whole. We understand the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, received the list contained in a white envelope, and Mr. Lateef Fagbemi San was the nominee being screened with Gbajabiamila, and was allowed into the Senate chambers after the Senate leader Opeyemi Bamidele invoked the necessary provision of the Senate standing rules in order to admit him to deliver the executive communication. We notice how the Senate always have to
invoke an order.
How does that play out?
Well,
they're always very dramatic.
Yeah, it is dramatic. And then, you know, I think something happened yesterday when I watched that, and then I was like, wow, you know, you're seeing, I'm sorry, I don't even know the words to describe it, but it looks to me like, wow, you know, it looks a bit dramatic.
The whole protocols that they put up just because, okay, what's the message you're sending out now that they consider the rest of us out here laymen, so when you are coming in to interrupt whatever is happening in there, it means there are some rituals that needs to be performed. We have to
settle the guts
before you can comment.
Okay, you know, being that Femi Gbajabiamila had once been there, he understands the rules as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. But once you're no longer
you're out.
You have to stick to the rules.
Well, according to the late Abdullahi Tijani Gwazo, Basun Tijani, Dr. Mayam Shetty, Ishak Sakalo, or Salako rather, Tunji Alausa, Dr. Yusuf Tanko Sanunu, Adeboyega Oyetola, Atiku Bagudu, and of course Bello Matawale. And of course other new nominees are Ibrahim Gaidam, Simon Lalong, Lola Adejan, Shuaibu Abubakar Audu, Professor Tahir Maman, Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, Senator Alkali Ahmed Saidu, Senator Heneken Lopobori, Uba Megari Amadu, and of course Vanaya Bitrus Gisalo, while others geopolitical zones got at least 2 nominees actually.
And I've seen a couple of familiar names there returning on the list. So let's just hope that this new constituted lists would really reflect what Nigerians would want, especially in terms of discharging the roles of the different offices that they are going to be allocated.
Well, the Southeast Geopolitical Zone got only nominees per state. Out of the 47 nominees, Ebonyi, Enugu, Anambra, Imo, and Abia State respectively got only 5 slots. And a breakdown of the ministerial nominees shows that Northwest had 10, Kanu, Kebbi, Katsina had 2 slots each, and Northeast had 8, Taraba, Bauchi had 2 slots each, North Central had 7, Niger, I don't know what's wrong with me and Niger, has 2 slots, and FCT Southwest has 9, Ogun has 3, Lagos has 2 slots, Southeast has 5, that's no state with an additional slot actually, while the South has given Cross River has 2 slots, while the ministerial nominees by geopolitical zones revealed that, of course, the Northwest, 10,
the Southwest
9,
9, and Northeast 8, the North Central, that's 8, right?
Yeah.
The South 7, and Southeast 5, making it
a total of 47.
Well, states with more than 1 are Ogun, 3 Lagos, 2 Niger, 2 Katsina, 2 Kano, 2 Bauchi, 2 Kebbi, 2 Taraba, 2 Cross River, 2. And the Senate is expected to reconvene tomorrow. That is the 4th of August for the continuation of the ministerial confirmation hearing.
Meanwhile, immediate past spokesman to Tinubu and a ministerial nominee right now. Wow, what an elevation. Dele Alake. He was screened yesterday. He was the first person to be screened yesterday. He has called for regulation of social media, and he spoke during the ongoing ministerial confirmation hearing yesterday. He claimed that if the social media space is left unchecked, Nigeria could run into trouble.
I think I was following the proceedings yesterday live when he was speaking on the social media and how it's two-way. Yes, it has its good sides and it has the bad sides.
And sometimes I think the bad side is even more than the good side.
Yes, because, I mean, the social media space, it's really porous. There's no regulation there. And even if there are regulations, I don't think they are enough because we still see people putting out information that are so uncensored. Say yesterday, he was giving guidelines as to the policies that could be enacted, especially when it comes to...
In order to help regulate.
Yes, so that we regulate it, but then we do not infringe on the rights of citizens to being able to say whatever they need to say without infringing on other people's rights.
Okay, well, all the nominees screened were Fagbemi, Mohammed Idris, Professor Ali Pate, and of course, Doris Anita Uzoka. And, well...
You see that mild drama that played out yesterday?
Of course.
the lady there shed tears.
You know, what happened is, I think, she was just going emotional, a bit too emotional.
And then the Senate president was like, she wasn't addressing the UN.
Well, I think we have another dramatic Senate president as well. Sometimes I feel, wow, you know, with Senator Godswill Akpabio on that seat, we're going to have to see lots of drama.
Well, we can count on that, actually.
All right, so a quick one. Let's get to the third story, report we have for today. So we can actually connect to our guests. Well, going to yesterday's event that played out big, the organized labor, which actually consists of the Nigeria Labour Congress, that's the NLC, the Trade Union Congress, TUC, had suspended its proposed strike action 24 hours after embarking on nationwide protest against the removal of fuel subsidy. And President of Trade Union Congress, Festus Osifo, announced this during an interview this morning, a televised interview. And he said the labor leaders who had earlier met with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu extracted some commitment to some of the issues raised during the meeting for immediate implementation.
And speaking on why the protest was suspended, Osifo announced that the protest had to be called off because the government has promised that within the next week, a lot of things will be put in place. Festus Osifo also speaking on the meeting with President Bola Tinubu at Aso Rock, said the president was told frankly that the committee that was proposed on the 19th of June had not made sufficient traction, and most of the inputs the Nigeria Labour Congress wanted has not come to pass.
Well, he also expressed that NLC gave themselves an 8-week mandate that from June 19 to August 19, the entire issue would be dispensed with. And don't also forget that organized labor protested yesterday to press home their demand over the removal of petrol subsidy, and they even brought down the National Assembly gate. Well, meanwhile, civil society organizations have asked President Tinubu to embark on a cleanup of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, and they say that the oil company lacked to fulfill his campaign promises to Nigerians. Well, they have also blamed the hardship caused as a result of the removal of subsidy by President Tinubu on the poor management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. Well, we don't know how true this is, but it says with its attendant increase in the cost of living and labor crisis, well, they shared common vision of a prosperous Nigeria and have asked the president to take action concerning Mele Kyari, the group of managing director of NNPCL, over the abysmal performance of the national oil firm as well.
All of these are tentative allegations. NNPC, Tinubu Kyari, group managing director of NNPC, Mele Kyari, CSOs, asked Tinubu to keep campaign promises. In a statement signed by Comrade Danesi Momo Igwe, Ude Umanta, Malam Suleiman Musa, and Godwin Oloha Esquire, the conveners of Empowerment for Unemployment Youth Initiative, Guardians of Democracy and Development Initiative, Independent Public Service Accountability Watch, and Coalition of Public Accountability Situation Room, respectively. The CSOs urged President Tinubu to take a decisive action to address the crisis in the oil industry. They also reminded the president of his campaign promises to alleviate the burden of poor Nigerians, address alleged opaqueness in the NNPCL. And the CSOs also blamed the NNPCL for further impoverishing Nigerians. They maintained that despite the recent presidential address attempting to offer some reassurances, some succor and hope to Nigerians, most citizens remain skeptical as the hardships persist. And who wouldn't be skeptical, Rachel? The CSOs also pointed out a particularly troubling area of concern revolving around the opaque direct sale, direct purchase or oil swap deal, insisting that it lacks transparency. Now, as the country grapples with the consequences of fuel subsidy removal, the CSOs maintained that Nigerians are keenly watching President Tinubu's next move, as their responsibility to address the oil industry's alleged industry crisis and alleviate the hardship rests on his choices in the coming days. Tinubu disclosed this through a statement issued by Dele Lake, the special advisor to the president on special duties, communication strategy, who is also now a ministerial nominee. The statement noted that the president gave the assurance when he spoke at a meeting with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, led by Joe Ajaero.
Okay, well, talking about this whole thing, of course, we also learned yesterday that the president spoke, and then when he spoke, he said something that actually caused a whole lot of reactions by different persons, and that is talking about the Port Harcourt Refinery. I would say wide reactions. Yeah.
And it's of course.
You said it will commence operations by December.
We're already seeing the reaping the effects of the protests yesterday.
Well, I don't want to talk about that on my own, because I mean, if you say we are reaping the effects of the protests, how long? Let's see the result first, because these are just words of the mouth. But quickly, let's get to connect with our guest who has been on standby, of course, ready to join us all the way from Boston, USA. Let's connect to Dr. Ademola Bayale. Good evening and welcome to the show, Doctor.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me once again.
It's been a while. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm good. Meet Xavier Robert. Okay, Doctor, let's go right into the business of the day. Let's start with the ministerial nominees and, of course, the screening as well. Well, I'm sure you've been following up, and, of course, you've watched everything. And I saw you say congratulations to it.
Now I understand. Well, I mean, former Governor Oyetola is an amazing man. He's from my state. Believe me, to serve the country or state for 4 years in the capacity of a governor, it's actually not easy. He's also been the chief of staff for the previous 8 years before he became the governor. So, I mean, the performance, I don't think it was, I won't actually even give him an abysmal performance. I think he tried his best given the circumstance.
So what would you say? What would you say played out?
Politics is a game of interest. Because you have done well, because PDP has done well, doesn't mean APC won't bring out a candidate. You have to sell yourself and sell what you have. A governor might be my plan in one direction, but you say, okay, I think we need to go in another direction. That doesn't mean the governor or the person there is not doing what he probably thinks he should be doing. Also, I understand that the finances of the state is a little bit wobbly. So that's why I said, given the circumstances, stabilized 4 years. When I was someone like me was going, I was the youngest on the lineup. When I was going in, a lot of people were worried about how the security, my own security, was going to be guaranteed. And I can tell you, I was in the nooks and cranny of the state campaigning. I was in almost all the wards. We had people everywhere, and I mean, done something better. I mean, I won't take it away from him. So, and me seeing him move to the ministerial level as a minister, yes, there might be some people might have some thoughts about that, but that's his political career. The president also understands that who he is and what he's bringing to the table. I don't know what capacity is going to be functioning, but I think it's a great one for him. So congratulations to him. And that's why I say I posted the congratulations.
Okay, so now I'm looking at the, personalities of the ministers generally. What have you noticed, or what is your own contribution or take from that?
Well, I'm a little bit confused, just to put it mildly, because now we've seen the lineup. Unfortunately, we don't know their portfolios.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to judge a book by its cover. We've seen people like El Rufai talk in the line of the power sector. We've seen people like Dele Alaki talk in the line of finance. We've seen people like Adebayo from Oyo State also talk in that area. So we're just speculating. If, for instance, someone like you, Rachel, they say, oh, you're going to be heading the healthcare. I mean, I'm going to be like, well, I know you're in the information sector, you're in the communication sector. So we're still blindfolded at this point. I might not be able to match your capacity in the information sector, but if they put you in another sector, that might be a problem. So we don't know, but I mean, the process has been a little bit assembly.
Now, I'm sorry to cut you. That also brings a question as to why do we always have to, nominate ministers without adding portfolios? Don't you think if we had added portfolios, it would help to, prepare their minds and help people, maybe help guide the Senate to, know how to direct their questions or scrutinize them well? In what aspect?
Trying to place it. I mean, generally, as you have to have a representative from each state. You have about 60 days to also bring out those names. So you probably don't have all the resources in 60 days to make sure that you actually have the right person. And you're like, okay, what do you do? Check the resume of everybody. And also, I think they're trying to play safe and just say, okay, you're technocrats, you've done this or worked in some space before, you can adapt your knowledge. If you're a governor, you've overseen different sectors. I wouldn't have any issues with any governor placed in any direction as far as I'm concerned. You've overseen transportation, healthcare, whatever. You have sectors under you at the state level you've seen, which we have a couple of them there. But I think they're trying to play safe, which is not the best for us, sincerely. But I also, from what Gbajabiamila said, that, I mean, they're also still trying to see if they can move these people around a little bit. But I think that in the future, it will actually pay us to make sure that we get the right people, we know what they are going for, so that the chamber can actually scrutinize or question them in that direction.
So, Doctor, one of the most significant aspects of these ministerial nominees that the President has forwarded to the Senate is the fact that quarters believe that the power given to the women in terms of the names of the women nominees that appear on the list are quite commendable. Do you think that this is something worth celebrating, especially comparing what was obtainable in the country in terms of the nominees of women?
I think we can do better. I don't even believe in the 35% affirmation, fighting for 35%. We've seen very, very daring women take up challenges at the federal level, at the highest offices, and do well. We've seen Kemi Adeosun there, we've seen Okonjo Iweala, we've seen amazing set of people in the past really represent us with so much energy and vigor. So, I mean, having 7 people or 8 people, I don't know if we've had it in this new list, but from the other one, I know we had like just like about 7 of them out of 40, equal to how men do it. I don't think they should be disenfranchised just because they're women or something. It's about the skill set and the knowledge they bring to the board. So I don't think this administration has done anything exceptionally well in the regards of including the women. I feel that we should be able to see more of their impact and more of their representation.
In terms of the age variance, what do you think in terms of the age of the nominees?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I saw Beta Edu. I think Beta Edu is 36 or 37. Dr. Beta Edu, which will probably be the youngest. 37. I think she's actually 36 or thereabout. Which will actually be the youngest. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has a thing for young people. I looked at his team when he was governor in 1999. He's somebody I follow very closely just to see how he moves the people around. I think he is always going for the young. I mean, we have people in their 30s. We've had very young ministers before in their 20s actually. So this is not like a new record. But someone like Beta Edu, someone like Stella Okotete. Stella Okotete she's the CEO of Nixon. I mean, export space. I mean, she's done well for herself. She has the capacity, though she's 39 years old. So this age, and I'm looking forward to actually bringing that vigor, that energy, that thirst into governance. So I'm actually very excited for her. I even sent her like a DM just to show how happy I was about her. Beta Edu, to former commissioner for health in I think Cross River or thereabout, which I think she's also demonstrated her capacity in that regard. So I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be benefiting from a very vibrant team, considering the age group: 49-year-old Anatu Masawa. This is when you can run. This is when you can jump. This is when you can wake up 4 a.m., have meetings 12 hours, and you still bounce back the next day. There's something for age when it comes to governance.
All right, so in case you're just joining us, then this is the Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television, and we are being joined by Dr. Ademola I don't know, I wanted to call him Ademola Adeleke. Bayonle, okay, and he was a former...
plagiarism.
A former YPP Guber candidate for Ogun State, actually. Okay, so coming back to you, Doctor, let's head to yesterday's event that played out. A nationwide protest by NLC. Of course, that event saw, it birthed something. Before we get to what it birthed, we saw the action all over the 36th stage of the Federation, including the FCT, and of course we had reports from other places as well. It played out well, and if you check the one in the FCT, had the gate of the National Assembly complex, the first gate being pulled down. That was to show how serious the labor unions were eager, of course, to make things better, and it actually bettered out something. Do you think that that meeting that was held, and of course that led to the suspension of the strike action that was already announced by NLC, and of course the protest which actually took place, do you think that is going to be like the usual meeting we have? Somebody argued and said NLC always going into closed-door meetings with the federal government simply means some persons or top persons in the union are being favored rather than the entire Nigerians that are supposed to be favored.
Well, Rachel, I don't think that bringing down the gates of the National Assembly shows seriousness of the rally. I don't believe in violence generally. I think there might be, but I mean, it's whatever it is. Sometimes our federal government or our government also needs until when we shout and when we look crazy, that's when they listen to us. But for the result of it, I just don't personally. I don't think you should go to war without having having a winning strategy or an outcome that shows the reason why you went to war. I mean, the essence is what I'll be asking myself. Yeah, we saw the pictures of handshaking, we saw the pictures of roundtable conversations, but what exactly was promised? What exactly happened? Why the call of the strike that will benefit the whole workforce? I think that's what I don't know, except if you know, you can tell me. But I'm looking for what happened. I mean, what was the conversation? Why did they say, "Oh yes, after we've done all
Doctor,
this, we've put it to gate"?
that conversation made the president, or had the president saying that but Harcourt actually believe that, or if you would just want or love to give a benefit of doubt?
So do we have to strike before the president tells us that the refinery is going to be up and running by? I mean, I don't think that's comparable to why the labor union actually went on strike. I don't think because now the president is saying the Port Harcourt is going to be hot, the refineries. Yeah, if you get what I'm saying. So I feel that there should be a more outlined outcome. This is what is going to happen. This is how we are going to share palliative. This is how the workers' welfare are going to be taken care of. It is. Remember that just was it like a month ago there was also a strike. What's it with all this strike and strike and strike without? I feel
Results.
that if they've also had I don't know if they've had a roundtable, and if that roundtable collapsed, because I don't want to speculate here. I mean, if they've had a roundtable conversation, then a roundtable conversation collapsed, then we can head to strike. But I think that what they probably did yesterday was just a showmanship to probably tell people that yes, we're not sleeping and everything. Because if the only thing you're taking back from that conversation is that oh the Port Harcourt refinery is now going to be working, I don't think that's enough. I think that's what should have been talked about in the previous meetings.
So, Dr. Ademola, does it surprise you that the NLC did not really press home its demand that the president should return to status quo when it comes to the fuel subsidy removal? That was how this whole thing started. They said, we are going to dialogue with you, but we need you to foil this fuel subsidy removal strategy. Then we can talk on how these things can be resolved. Does it surprise you that the NLC are they're not talking about that anymore? They're just talking about palliatives now.
I think everybody, we have all agreed that the way forward, which I don't necessarily sincerely agree, but I think it's the conversation out there. We've all decided that this fuel subsidy needs to go. And I think they are also on board with that. So that conversation of let's go back to the era of fuel subsidy as is gone. You can't have that conversation again. I think it's now palliative. What are you going to do for us in lieu of this subsidy, this petroleum subsidy that we have had in the past? So I won't be surprised if there's no more conversation around the fact that, oh, give us some fuel subsidy. I don't think we're going back there. That will be backtracking, unfortunately. So I think they're talking about subsidy.
So what is this issue of putting the cart before the horse that is flying around from different quarters? They're saying the federal government should have ensured these palliative measures were put in place already before the removal of fuel subsidy.
Announcing fuel subsidy removal.
100%. See, this was of 2021. And I told them, I said, if there's something we should benefit that from the fact that we are moving from APC to another APC, same party system, is that there should be a plan that, okay, since we know this is called same party system, it seems that another new set of people are just coming in and they are starting all afresh. I mean, if we've had something in the weeds since 2021, they should have actually planned for this. Now let's even think that they did not plan for, which they did not do. Since January of this year, they knew that this fuel subsidy was going to end in
In
June.
June.
It was not even part of the budget. So what did you do? They got a loan from World Bank, they did all this, they did all that, but nothing. Even 2 months into this administration, nothing, as far as I'm concerned, nothing has been done. So you can't just be throwing out about palliative after removal of for subsidy, and that is putting the cart before the horse. You're thinking about palliative should have come. Okay, this is what you're going to have. The transportation system is fully working. We're going to subsidize the price. The agricultural sector is going to work. This is what is going to happen. Everything should be in the books. Then we remove it. I mean, I feel that one advantage of moving along the same party line is that this fuel subsidy or this palliative will just be seamless. But we didn't see it, unfortunately.
Okay, let's get back to the issue of refinery. I mean, last year, Timmy Silva, the former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, had said that the Port Harcourt refinery would start working at the end of 2022. That was last year. And even this year, he came out to say it's going to start working before the first, I think March this year. He said it's going to start working before the end of the second quarter of this year. And here we are. I'm not sure there is anything going on right now in that refinery. I'm not sure there's any work being done. Well, if there is, then that's nice. But do you think that the issue of refinery, first of all, did not start today? These are things we expected to be fixed long before now, even before the Dangote refinery, came into existence. I mean, Nigeria has money enough to fix the refineries we have. But how feasible is it that the Port Harcourt refinery may start working? And if it does, what should we expect?
Well, we'll probably have to speak with NNPC on that one, unfortunately. But as a typical regular Nigerian, I don't think that I'm not seeing how I don't know what miracle they want to do. That's the truth. And I don't even know what to believe again at this point. Because this is not the first time they're telling us that this is going to be fixed. So if we've had a back and forth, promise and fail, then it's sad. In fact, this type of refinery, fixing our refinery is actually something that should have even happened before removing the subsidy. We should have fixed one of our refineries, not now thinking that after removing the fuel subsidy, now, oh yeah, let's give it another 6 months or 4 months or something, the Port Harcourt refinery or Delta or whatever is going to start working. We've not really benefited from a truthful government. Or a very pragmatic and very a government that we can actually hold to its words. So, I mean, it's whatever they needed to tell NLC to call off the strike. I hope it was just that, and there was nothing below the table they had to pass. But whatever they've told us, what can we do? We'll probably just wait till December. So, I don't know what NNPC is doing. I don't know what the federal government is doing. What we know presently is that we do not have a working refinery. Even the Dangote refinery that was commissioned is still not.
Of that refinery, and I think it's over $1.5 billion was being proposed for that. I don't know if it was actually released, but it was approved for the rehabilitation of that particular refinery. And we have three. Of course, if all three are to be working, I don't think that we'll have this issue that we are having right now.
I don't think so, because I think from some of the materials I read or newsletters I read, I heard that if Port Harcourt even kickstarts, the price of petroleum is just going to be dropped by 70 naira or something.
Wow.
Thereabout. About 70 bucks. So yes, don't kick our hopes up. And when the whole things start working, they're like, okay, there's a 50 naira drop from 700 to 650. So what's the point, actually? So I don't know how they want to fix it. Sincerely, like I said, I feel this is more of an issue of the inability to fight corruption. we are saying that we're supplying fuel to neighboring countries. I mean, I think we should be able to stop that. We're saying that the bill for the importation of oil is actually more than what we should be paying. I mean, there's a corruption, there's a problem of corruption in that field that needs to solve. I don't think it's a problem if your government is subsidizing something for you. I don't think there's a problem at 250. That's still probably reasonable. But to move suddenly to 600 and whatever, I don't think it just makes any sense. So I think it's more of the corruption that needs to be fought, and I hope they have the balls to actually fight it. I think is more understanding what is the cause, what is the root cause of this issue. Why are we paying a lot more? Who are the people stealing our oil and all? So if you keep pouring water into a leaking bag, not just, oh yeah, our refineries are back, are working now, whatever. We don't even know how the NNPC arrived at this figure in the first place. I think they called him. I listened to one of his interview, and it was like, oh yeah, it's there's a lot of market forces and a lot of transportation, refinery, and I mean, we don't even know how. And that's why how the legislators comes in. We have if we have a serious house at this point, they should be looking at the books of NNPC and asking us. They have oversight functions. So I believe that at this point, the legislators should actually be calling NNPC directors and be like, come to the table. Let us know how you got to 500 or 600 and how these prices are fluctuating and why Nigerians need to pay this particular amount. So it's unfortunate. And that's why I said, even with the ministerial nominations, we saw that the legislators actually, they do not, there's a lot of things they don't know. For instance, they don't know that the CBN don't have, there's no oversight on CBN. So, I mean, I hope that we have government officials who are happy to tighten their belt and give us some good governance.
So, Dr. Ademola, while we try to round up now, staying on the refineries, we understand that in the president's speech, he said that 1 trillion naira has been saved from removal of fuel subsidy. How do you think this sum that he says has been saved can help, revitalize the oil sector, especially like the refineries we are discussing now?
Well, that 1 trillion, from the information that we've had and we've read, I don't even know what that means. And why did I say that? NNPC told us that even federal governments are owing them money. So, and I use this analogy: if you used to live in a duplex, but because you're broke, you moved into a bungalow. Now you're saying, "Oh, I have saved the money because I'm no longer paying the price of the rent of when I was in the duplex." I don't think you're saving money. I think you're just literally broke. But that, I mean, he said it. I heard it during his broadcast. But I don't know where the money is saying, because why are you owing NNPC in the first place if you actually have that money somewhere? So, well, but the money, again, if it truly exists, I'm hoping, they've said they will buy about 3,000 buses. They'll revitalize the agricultural sector, increase wages, help the SMEs and the nano and the large scale business flows and everything. So let's hope. But again, I have some skepticism around that. But let's hope that will give some support to the people.
Well, local refiners, oil marketers have said that local refining will at least save 70 naira per liter, just like you said.
70 naira,
yeah. If local refineries are actually being established anyway.
So what's 70 naira?
What's the big difference, right?
Yeah, and that's why. How did you get to this value? How did you get to this figure? And what can we do to reduce it? That is actually how they can help the Nigerians. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel that we should have a breakdown of what is actually driving that cost. Moving from 190 something to 600, that's almost like 300% increase. and we are yet to we're yet to fine tune, and we are even saying if we start refining petrol from our house, it's just going to save us 70 naira.
And it may
So
actually
where is this
cut freight and of course shift to shift transfer cost as well.
Exactly. So
Okay.
are we saying that the import duty is not going to count for anything? Are we saying the money of the freight from taking it from Nigeria to what's it called, to the refinery outside the country is not something? Bringing it back is not something. So what's happening?
Okay,
What's happening?
thank you so much, Doctor. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at our time. We've gone past time. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dr. Ademola Bayole from US, and of course, he was the 2022 YPP candidate for candidate for Ogun State. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Osun State.
Osun State, rather. I'm sorry about that.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Rachel. Thanks for having me. It was nice talking to you guys.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right, back to the people.
Thank you.
It's been the love of people and governance here on Spectrum Television, and it's been a good time staying with you on the show. This is the end for the week, and of course, next week we'll come again with wonderful additions and, of course, good trends for you. As long as it happens in Nigeria and it's hot, you get to hear it here. Thank you so much, Xavier Robert.
Yes, thank you. And it's a collective hope that whatever it is the policies of government would be, it would reflect positively on the citizens of Nigeria. We thank you for staying tuned for this one.
All right, don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, SpectrumTv.ng. And also, don't forget that you can also follow us on Twitter at SpectrumT Online, all as one word. And you can follow me on Twitter as well at Rach White. My name is Rachel David White. Good
And I am
evening.
Xavier Robert. Good night.